Hey girls, so sorry yesterday I totally slacked on you guys. It got kind of crazy at work, and even today it was crazy, and stuff is changing, and so we're in the middle of transition at work. But I wanted to share very briefly what I wanted to share with you guys on Sunday. Um, so I, of course, wanted to start off by introducing myself, Jasmine Ramirez. I am the youngest of four kids. I am the only girl. I and I was raised by a single mother. So that's what I wanted to touch on a little bit today, or yesterday, but today. So when I was younger, it didn't really affect me at all. I think because subconsciously, I didn't know this, but I was seeing that my mom, being a single parent, a strong woman, had two jobs, raising her four kids on her own, and she was essentially succeeding. Granted, we lived in like Section 8 apartments. We lived in a pretty bad neighborhood. We eventually got out of there. I think when I was 15, we moved, but still we moved south, and it was still pretty ghetto. But she did a great job, in my opinion, for a single parent, and I never really, I never missed a father figure in my life, because at that point I had my older brother Fidel, and well, all three of my brothers, but my older brother Fidel was the one that I looked up to. Not just that, but my church grandpa. He wasn't my biological grandpa, but he was an old guy at church, and I was like, "You're my grandpa." And they took me under their wing, and so when I was little, like everything was great. I had male figures in my life that were positive role models, but of course, like everything ends. My grandparents decided to go to a different church. My older brother got married, had his own kids, and for a long time it was kind of weird, and I didn't call him daddy anymore. He didn't call. So this is when my relationship with God really came to life, because I moved out. I was going to school in another city, and here I was in a dorm, devotional, reading the book of Ephesians. And even before that, God had led me to read the book of Ephesians and kind of break it down and define literally word by word what everything meant. And then even further, he wanted me to apply it to my life and to figure out what it meant for my life. So I was in dorm devo, and we read Ephesians chapter 1, verse 4 through 5. And those are the ones that stuck out to me. Verse 4, just as he chose us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love. 5, having predestined us to adoption as sons. Okay, verse 5. Having predestined us to adoption as sons by Jesus Christ to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. That was the New King James Version. I like the way the NIV version says, having predestined us to adoption as sons by Jesus Christ to sonship. So in the Greek, the word sonship means a term referring to the full legal standing of an adopted male heir in the Rome culture. So even though I never missed a male figure in my life, because I had so many positive role models in my life, there was something in the back of my head that just sat there for a really long time, and I never brought it forward until that day, until I was reading the book of Ephesians in my dorm devotion. And what God was bringing to mind is one very quick conversation that I had with my mom while we were driving to Brownsville. I'm from Brownsville, and we were living in Austin, and we were visiting our family in Brownsville, and it was just me and my mom in the car. And I asked my mom one day, I was like, how do you feel if I look for my biological dad? Like, how would that make you feel? And she was like, right, straight up, she was like, why would you look for somebody that never wanted you? And I was like, man, you're right. Like, in that moment, I was like, he's the one that's missing out. I'm great. Like, it's his loss. But in that moment, at 24 years old, I questioned myself. And I was like, from the very beginning, these male figures in my life never wanted me. Like, from the very beginning, my biological dad never wanted me. And you would think that as a strong Christian at 24 years old, before I went to this school, I was a youth leader for 3 years. And before that, I worked in the children's church for 12 years. Like you would think that I grew up in the church, essentially. And you would think that by that time, 24 years old, I would be able to handle those questions. But it broke because I had never dealt with it before. But it was really, really touching that God said, I have predestined you into adoption because it's my perfect will, because I want to. He wanted me, and that broke me. And I had never felt the true acceptance. I had never felt the immense love that God had for us until I read until I had read that scripture, and it clicked. Like, he wanted us. He predestined for us to be heirs, to fully be accepted, to legally, to be, how would I put this, to legally have a right to all of the blessings, all of the mercies, all of his love. He predestined us for that. And it was such a beautiful thought that he wanted me. He wanted me to legally have every right to his love. And so I wanted to leave you guys with that God predestined you to be loved by him, to be accepted, to be adopted in sonship. And I leave you with that. I love you, ladies. God bless you.